Welcome to Ahmed's World Supernatural. In today's episode, we dive into the bone-chilling legend of Bloody Mary. Join us as we explore the Bloody Mary curse and different variations of this terrifying tale. From the historical connections to the mysterious Queen Mary I of England to the spine-tingling rituals and encounters, prepare to be immersed in the dark secrets behind the mirror. The Bloody Mary legend is an age-old tale that has been passed down through generations. Many of us first heard it in primary school, and it has since become a popular story among younger people, friends, and now everyone. But what is this curse really? In a dimly lit room, with only flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on the walls. According to the legend, all you had to do was hold a lit candle and stand before a mirror, typically in a bathroom. As the candle's flame danced, you would repeat the words, Bloody Mary, 3 times, all the while gazing into the mirror. And then, the unimaginable would happen. As the final, Bloody Mary, escaped your lips, anticipation would fill the air. Would her ghostly reflection truly materialize behind you? The stories varied, each one painting a different and terrifying image. Some versions of the tale described Bloody Mary's reflection as a ghastly figure drenched in blood, sending chills down your spine. Others warned of her wrath, claiming that if you dared to turn around and look at her, she would drag you into her world. And then there were the macabre variations, where violent murders were attributed to her name, and blood would mysteriously pour from faucets, heightening the sense of terror. These stories ignited our imaginations, fueling our fascination with the supernatural and the unknown. We would nervously dare each other to summon Bloody Mary, our hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. But what is the origin of this chilling tale, and why does it continue to captivate us? Our first on the list is Queen Mary I of England, born on February 18, 1516, in London, was the daughter of King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. Her early years were overshadowed by her father's desperate pursuit of a male heir, which ultimately led to his divorces, marriages, and the establishment of the Church of England. Mary, a devout Catholic, vehemently rejected her father's actions and refused to acknowledge the illegitimacy of her parents' marriage, or her father's authority over the newly formed church. But Henry had gotten what he wanted, a son, Edward VI. When Edward VI died just 6 years into his reign, he tried to ensure that power passed to his Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey. Mary seized the opportunity to claim the throne. In 1553, she led an army into London, resulting in her ascension to the throne and the execution of her Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey. As queen, Mary I pursued a policy of religious restoration, which involved the persecution and execution of Protestants. These executions were meticulously recorded by the Protestant writer John Foxe in his book, The Acts and Monuments, also known as Foxe's Book of Martyrs. The brutal persecution of Protestants during Mary's reign contributed to her enduring reputation as Bloody Mary. After her death, this epithet became associated with her, despite her father's orders for the deaths of thousands of subjects and her sister's violent treatment of Catholics. Mary's relentless pursuit of a Catholic heir and her role in the executions solidified her connection to the Bloody Mary legend. In addition to her persecution of Protestants, Queen Mary I was determined to produce an heir during her reign. At the age of 37, she married Philip of Spain and announced her pregnancy shortly afterward. However, her due date came and went without the birth of a child. Rumors circulated, particularly in the French court, suggesting that Mary had experienced a molar pregnancy, a condition known as a hydatidiform mole, which often results in the absence of a viable fetus. Queen Mary I passed away in 1558 at the age of 42, possibly due to uterine or ovarian cancer. Her death marked the end of her reign without leaving a child to succeed her. Instead, her Protestant half-sister, Elizabeth, assumed the throne, solidifying Protestantism's position in England. The alleged sightings of Bloody Mary in mirrors, often depicted as a ghost searching for or mourning a lost child, have led some to speculate a connection between the legend and Queen Mary's failed attempts at pregnancy. The taunting phrases used in the legend, such as "I stole your baby" or "I killed your baby," could have struck a nerve with Mary, given her fervent desire for an heir. While Queen Mary I of England, also known as Bloody Mary, gained a reputation for her persecution of Protestants during her reign, the connection between her and the Bloody Mary legend remains speculative. Her relentless pursuit of a Catholic heir and her tragic experiences with pregnancy have led some to draw parallels between her life and the legend. And on second we have Elizabeth Bathory, a member of the Hungarian noble Bathory family, lived from 1560 to 1614. She was accused of killing numerous girls and young women between 1590 and 1610. The exact number of her supposed victims remains a subject of debate. While some sources claim at least 80 victims during Bathory's trial, a witness claimed to have seen a diary in which she had allegedly recorded the names of 650 victims. However, the existence of this diary has not been substantiated, and the court official who supposedly saw it did not mention it in his testimony. The accusations against Bathory included horrific acts of torture, such as sewing victims' lips shut, beating them with clubs, and burning them with hot irons. There were also rumors that she bathed in the blood of her victims to maintain a youthful appearance. It is important to note that many of these claims emerged long after Bathory's death and are considered unreliable legends. Elizabeth Bathory was never formally tried for her alleged crimes. Instead, she was confined to Castle Sejd, now Cactus, and reportedly kept in a bricked-in room until her death in 1614 at the age of 54. It is unclear why she was not subjected to a trial, but it is possible that her noble status played a role in the decision. Over time, legends emerged surrounding Elizabeth Bathory, describing her as a vampiric figure who bathed in the blood of virgins. However, these legends were generally recorded years after her death and are considered unreliable. It is important to distinguish between the historical facts and the embellishments that have been added to Bathory's story. Bathory's defenders argue that the charges against her were fabricated due to political motivations. It is suggested that the king owed her late husband debts, which were cancelled after she was arrested. Additionally, her daughters and sons-in-law reportedly received her money and estates soon after her arrest. These factors have raised questions about the credibility of the accusations against her. There is no historical evidence linking Elizabeth Bathory to the folklore figure of Bloody Mary. The connection between the two is largely a result of speculation and popular imagination. And lastly, we have Mary Worth, from whom this folktale curse is likely inspired. Additionally, there are 3 variations of her story that further contribute to the intrigue surrounding her legend. The first variation of the story depicts a young girl named Mary Worth who becomes pregnant after a one-night stand. Initially not wanting to keep the baby, Mary grows attached to her infant after its birth. Tragically, just 1 year later, she awakens to discover her child murdered in the crib, driving her into a state of inconsolable grief. Distraught, Mary sits before a mirror, her tears flowing uncontrollably as she grasps a knife and repeatedly stabs herself. According to legend, if one were to chant her name 3 times into a pitch-black mirror, she would emerge to seek vengeance by attempting to kill the summoner. Bloody Mary, as the legend goes, is the tormented spirit of a sorrowful woman who either took her own life after her baby was stolen, or was falsely accused of murdering her children. Depending on the version of the tale, her spirit is driven mad by grief or consumed by anger, forever haunting the world through mirrors. And second variation of story is in Wadsworth. Once upon a time, nestled in the quaint town of Wadsworth, there lived a woman named Mary Worth during the 1860s. The era was marked by the Underground Railroad, with numerous homes in Gurnee serving as safe havens for escaped slaves. However, Mary had a sinister secret hidden beneath her seemingly ordinary existence. While others were aiding the slaves seeking freedom, Mary engaged in the reverse Underground Railroad. Under false pretenses, she lured unsuspecting slaves into her clutches, intending to sell them back into the clutches of slavery and profit from their misery. And there were rumors among the townspeople that Mary also practiced the dark arts, torturing and killing slaves for her rituals. As whispers of her dark deeds spread among the townspeople, they turned a blind eye, allowing her wickedness to persist. But patience wears thin, and there came a time when the townspeople could bear it no longer. They had enough of Mary's evil doings and decided to take matters into their own hands. Fueled by anger and a desire for justice, they formed a vengeful mob. One fateful night, fueled by rage and fear, the mob descended upon Mary's property. With torches ablaze and ropes in hand, they dragged the accused witch from her home. Amidst the chaos and cries of the crowd, they strung her up on a tree, taking vengeance for the lives she had exploited and destroyed. As the flames engulfed Mary, her cries echoed through the night, marking the end of her dark reign. According to local legend, a Lake County resident claimed to have witnessed the haunting spectacle, watching Mary Worth burn at the stake. The story of Mary Worth's demise diverges into two paths. Some believe that her body was buried on her property, forever binding her spirit to the land she once tainted with her wickedness. Others suggest that, due to her association with witchcraft, her remains were denied a burial in the sacred grounds of the cemetery. Instead, she was laid to rest somewhere on her own property, forever trapped in the realm of the living. Years passed, and a new subdivision emerged near the site of Mary's former abode. During the construction, workers stumbled upon a peculiar stone and decided to remove it from the ground. Little did they know that this stone could have been Mary Worth's grave marker, disturbed from its resting place. Strange occurrences soon plagued the house that stood in the stone's path. Dishes and objects would inexplicably fly off shelves, and an eerie presence permeated its halls. To make matters worse, the house suffered an unlikely fate. Twice it succumbed to devastating fires, leaving only charred remnants behind. The locals whispered that it was the curse of Mary Worth, seeking vengeance from beyond the grave for disturbing her final resting place. To this day, the legend of Bloody Mary Worth lingers in the town of Wadsworth. In the final and highly inspired folktale version, Mary was believed to be a witch due to her forest dwelling in a small cabin and her trade of selling tinctures and herbal remedies, which made the locals wary of her. They feared her curses upon themselves, their animals, and even the disapproval of the religious community for engaging in Wicca practices. As the village faced a series of small girls going missing, exhaustive searches were conducted, but Mary's involvement remained a perplexing mystery. A few courageous individuals dared to venture towards Bloody Mary's cabin to investigate, despite her denial of any knowledge regarding the disappearances. However, the families remained suspicious, as Mary's usually elderly and haggard appearance had unexplainably transformed, making her appear more youthful and feminine. Though the villagers harbored doubts, they felt powerless in their pursuit of the truth. The story continued with the involvement of the miller's daughter. One night, the young girl became entranced by an elusive sound only she could hear, while her mother, suffering from an intense toothache, used a herbal tincture purchased from Mary. Filled with fear, the miller's wife called for her husband's assistance and urged him to follow their daughter. Despite their desperate pleas for her return, it seemed as if she was being led by an unseen and inexorable force. Seeking aid from fellow townsfolk, they noticed a faint glow at the edge of the woods. As they approached, they discovered Mary Worth standing in a clearing beside a towering oak tree, holding a wand and emanating an unnatural light. The miller's daughter was inexorably drawn towards that ethereal glow. When asked about the nature of Bloody Mary, it becomes challenging to provide a definitive answer, as witches typically do not possess wands or emit such radiant glows. Nevertheless, most people imagine her as a witch or some form of supernatural being. Realizing the true intentions of Mary Worth, the farmers and the miller's father confronted her with pitchforks and guns. Faced with the village's revelation of her true nature, Mary broke the spell and fled into the forest. However, the farmer proved quicker than Mary. Loading his gun with silver bullets as a precaution in case Mary turned her attention towards his daughter, he fired a shot that struck her in the hip. Caught, struggling, and screaming, Mary was bound to a stake, and a bonfire was hastily constructed, aiming to rid the village of this supposed witch once and for all. As the flames consumed her, Mary cursed the villagers, warning them that if they ever dared to utter her name in front of a mirror, she would return to exact revenge. Her spirit would haunt them from wherever she was summoned. Regrettably, upon returning to the village and conducting a thorough search of Mary's house, the villagers with missing children discovered rows and rows of unmarked graves. It became evident that Mary had used the blood of their children to maintain her youthfulness. It is a chilling possibility that all the stories of Bloody Mary involving the individuals mentioned in this video may bear a cursed connection, as if the evil they have committed has passed on to them through the haunting presence of Bloody Mary herself. And that concludes our journey into the origins, curses, and variations of the legend of Bloody Mary. This tale takes on a chilling tone. Ahmed's world, supernatural urges caution when summoning Bloody Mary. The stories may differ, but the warning remains the same: be wary of meddling with the occult. Remember, curiosity can lead to treacherous paths. In the realm of supernatural, it's crucial to tread carefully, for the tales we tell are cautionary reminders of the dark forces that lurk. Thank you for joining us on this bone-chilling exploration into the legend of Bloody Mary. Stay tuned to Ahmed's World Supernatural for more thrilling adventures into the unknown. Until next time, navigate the darkness with caution.